Happy Monday, boys and girls. Welcome to Monday Math. I thought I'd start today off with a little bit of a joke. Here's a teacher explaining to students what a gram is for the abbreviation a milligram and a kilogram. And then the kids say, but wait a second, what about Instagram? Ha 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 ha. Alrighty, so this week in math we'll be learning about measurement. So hopefully you have already obviously started with this week's math lesson. If I can get that, there we go. Started with this week's math lesson. And this week we'll be learning about measurement. Remember, just like always, do not click the turn in button until the very end of the week. Remember that when you are done with your math for the entire week is when you click the turn in button. It's always good to turn it in early. The earlier you turn it in, the quicker I can get it back to you. And if you turn it in early enough and you have some problems with your slides, maybe you forgot a slide or maybe you didn't do well on a certain page, I can send it back to you and I can have you redo it before I give you that grade. If you wait until Friday at 3 o'clock and you skip a couple of pages or you get several questions wrong on the last assignment, then I've got to give you that failing grade, and when you redo it, the highest grade you can make is 70. But if you turn it in earlier than that, now by earlier I don't mean Friday at 2 o'clock, I mean like maybe sometime Wednesday or sometime Thursday, then I could possibly get it back to you and have you make some changes if you need to. All right, so this week we'll be focusing on measurements and converting measurements, not only customary but metric as well. So customary being what the United States use and metric being what basically the rest of the world uses. And hopefully you already watched this story. This is a book called Millions to Measure. So if you haven't, go ahead and, if you haven't, go ahead and do that. Cute book about measurement and how we came up with the customary units of measurement and then why most of the world switched over to the metric unit of measurement. All right, and then here are the 9 critical thinking traits that you'll be using this week while you're doing your math. Here is where you went to get today's video. All right, so I want to start off, before we do anything, kind of talking about customary measurements. I just realized I don't have the parentheses there. There you go. So customary measurements is what we use here in the United States. They use it in the country of Liberia and then Myanmar. Okay, I keep messing this up. Let's try that. There we go. And in Myanmar, and I think also in Guam, but I'm not really sure. And the customary units is what the book that I just read you talks about. We here in the United States, we use inches, and we use feet, and we use yards and miles. For capacity, we use gallons and quarts and pints and cups and ounces. And then for weight, we use ounces and pounds and tons. So I put this slide here for you to reference. Think of this as if we were in the classroom and I have my math board where I keep all my charts and all my posters. Think of this page as being that. So during the week when you're thinking to yourself, okay, wait a second, what was it that we used or how many was in this? You can flip back to these charts and take a look. Just like if you were in the classroom, you would look up on that board to help you out, okay? So I'm actually going to take my computer into my kitchen, excuse me, where I put this face down. I know that's not the best view for you. All right, but I wanted to come and show you some things to kind of help you out with measurement. All right, let's see. There's my kitchen. I'm going to open this back up. All right, so thinking about length, okay, what we use here in the United States, inches. Think about a paper clip is about an inch. So I've got here, this is a tape measure, okay? And here this tape measure is in inches. So think about the rulers that we use. And then a paper clip is approximately an inch, okay? Maybe not exactly an inch, but approximately an inch, okay? So here in the United States, we use inches. 12 inches, okay, is a foot. And that right there is about a foot. And then to go bigger than a foot, we use a yard. So, shoot, I don't think I brought the right thing to do this. All right, so if we're going to use, I'm not doing very well today, am I? No, you can't even see that. Okay, so if we're going to be doing a yard is 3 feet. Okay, so think of a yard as being 3 feet. Let me back up so you can see how big that is. Say hi to Sadie. Hi, Sadie Bell. Hi, sweet girl. All right, so that is about a yard. And then when we get into even longer distances or longer lengths, we use miles, okay? Now, looking at capacity. Capacity is usually how much liquid something will hold. Here in the United States, we use gallons, quarts, pints, cups, ounces, and then even smaller than that, teaspoons and tablespoons. So I wanted to kind of show you, while looking at this right here, okay, we've got a gallon. So I've got my gallon right here. Okay, this is my Red Diamond sweet tea because I don't think there's anything I like to drink more than sweet tea. So this is a gallon, okay, 1 gallon. Now, 4 quarts fit into a gallon. So the way that you would look at that is, this right here is a quart. Okay, this is the half and half my husband uses for his coffee in the morning. Okay, so basically, this is a quart right here, okay? It says, where is it at? Find it. 1 quart, okay? 4 of these would fit into 1 of those. So imagine yourself being able to put water in here 4 times, and that is what would fill this gallon, okay? All right, so the next one that we use is we use pints, okay? So my chocolate milk, my True Moon chocolate milk, this is my favorite chocolate milk, is what whenever I have to go for a really long run, okay? That is a pint. So think of the pints, okay? Because there are 2 pints, there are 2 of these in 1 of those. So think about filling this up twice. 1, 2. And then basically, by the time we do that, this is full, okay? So think to yourself, if it takes 4 of these to make 1 of those, how many of these would it take to make a gallon? Let's see. 2 times 4, it would take 8, okay? So 8 pints would equal 1 gallon. All right, and then we've got cups. All right, so this is my cup right here. Okay, it's basically just like a measurement cup. Okay, and as far as cups go, it takes 2 cups to fill up 1 pint. So it would take me 1, 2 to fill up this. Okay, and then going down even smaller, we've got ounces. Okay, so this right here, this is like a cotton candy flavoring, and this whole bottle, okay, is 1 ounce. And it takes 8 of these to fill up 1 of these. So 8 of these fills up 1 of these. 2 of these fills up 1 of these. 2 of these fills up 1 of these. And 4 of these fills up 1 of those. Okay? So you can kind of see it's not really uniform. When we learn about the metric system in just a second, it's very uniform. It's tens, hundreds, and thousands. So it makes it a little bit more difficult, okay? And then as far as weight is concerned, here in the United States, we use ounces, pounds, and tons. All right, so an ounce is something that is very light. So approximately like a piece of bread would be, now this is just a hamburger bun, but a piece of bread would be an ounce, okay? Something that would be a pound, it says like a pineapple could possibly be a pound. I went and weighed, and here's this little thing that I have on my, I just have it on one of my tables over there, and this is approximately a pound. And then a ton would be something like a bus or a whale or something like that. You would measure that in tons, okay? And that would be what would be considered our customary for the United States, all right? Now, here's the thing now. The rest of the world uses the metric system, okay? The metric system is based on, as you saw in the book, it's based on tens and hundreds and thousands. So a millimeter would be something super, super small and super, super thin, like the end of an eraser, or even, I tell you what, a piece of paper would be considered a millimeter thick, would be a piece of paper. So I actually got our math notebook, and I got out our star measurement reference, because it has, I actually don't have a ruler here at home, believe it or not. So it has right here our centimeters. All right, so here's the centimeters, right? Oh, come on, focus. There we go. So the centimeter is from there to there, okay? The millimeter are those teeny, 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 tiny marks. Teeny, tiny marks. So you can see how a piece of paper would technically be thinner than between those tiny, 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 tiny little spots right there. Okay, that would be a millimeter, okay? And then you have the centimeter, which would be like from the 1 to the 2. All right, then you have the meter. Now, the meter is approximately 1 yard, okay? It's approximately 1 yard. Not exactly. It's actually 1 yard is 0.91 meters, but it's close enough for you to be able to get an idea in your head, okay? And then the kilometer would be like what we use for our mile. It would be a much longer distance, okay? Now, for capacity, instead of using cups and ounces and quarts, they use the millimeter and the liter, okay? So the milliliter would be like one tiny little drop of water. That would be a milliliter, okay? Now, it takes 1,000 milliliters to make 1 liter, okay? 1,000 milliliters to take 1 liter. And think of a liter as like a Gatorade bottle. I found something that was a liter. I got this from my mom. This is like this peach flavoring. I like to put it in my tea so I can make peach tea. And this is about 1 liter, okay? So think about 1,000 drops of water or syrup being in this to make that liter. All right, and then for mass or weight, they use grams. So think of like a $1 bill as weighing about a gram, or even a book being about a kilogram. There's 1,000 grams in a kilogram. Okay, so think about that. All right. So I wanted you to be able to reference those and look at those if you needed to. All right, and then there's another sheet right here. I thought this was really, really helpful. This is helpful in kind of seeing the metric on one side and the customary on the other, okay? So as you can see over here, when we're measuring inches and feet and yards in the United States, others are using the millimeter. See how it's up here smaller than the inch, centimeter? That's about what they would use. All right, when we're using cups and pints and quarts is about when they would be using a liter. When we're using ounces, they would be using milliliters, okay? So just kind of helpful side by side to see what is what. And then here are some conversions. Now, here are the conversions that I think you might use the most this week. This is converting customary measurements. So whenever later on this week, you're given maybe 7 feet and you're asked to say how many inches that is, or you're given a certain number of inches and you're asked to go backwards and figure out how many yards it is, then this is a page that you might want to reference because it will be very helpful in those conversions going back and forth. And then here are some conversions for the metric system. All right, down here, showing that a gram is equal to, and here's the length. Okay, and then here's some other ones that were really helpful right there. Oops, it's not very helpful. All right, so a meter is 100 centimeters, but a kilometer is 1,000 meters. So just kind of helping you. And this is on the page that we're doing today. I just put it here as a reference for you so that you would be able to go back and see it all the time, okay? And then this is the other thing. So here we have kilo, heco, deca, the base unit, get that off there, and then deci, centi, and milli. So just think about this base unit as being like the meter. You have a decameter, a hecameter, and a kilometer. You have a decimeter, a centimeter, and a millimeter, all right? And as you go down this way, the units are getting smaller. As you go up this way, they're getting bigger, okay? When you are at the meter, when you're going down, think about dividing by 10, 100, and 1,000. And then when you're going up, think about multiplying by 10, 100, and 1,000. And that's going to help you with your conversions, okay? All right, so we are now to this page right here. I'm going to close that and go on back in here. All right, nice day outside today. My neighbors are going to be moving pretty soon. All right, so here, we're about to work on this page right here. So remember that these pages can be found also right where you click on to open up this slide. It's a PDF, which means you only can open it up and print it at home. It is very, very helpful for you to have these printed so that when you are working on them at home, you can be working on them with me and writing it down as I go. All right, but before we do this page right here, I'm going to do like a little practice page with you first. Okay. Here we go. There's my thumb. Woohoo! All right, I set my stand up a little differently this time, thinking maybe I could get some more writing area. Okay, so before we get started on the actual assignment for today, I wanted just to kind of show you, this is a practice page I wanted to show you, okay? I want to see about taking these and converting them into what you would need to convert them to by using sheets that I gave you, okay? So this right here is the sheet that we're doing today, and this right here is what I am referring to. Now this I put on a slide so you can go back and you can take a look at it whenever you need to, okay? All right, so I wanted to look at like this one right here, all right, the meters. If 1 meters equals how many centimeters? 1 meters equals how many centimeters? So for right now, I know that that's not something that just comes naturally to you, okay? So you can look here at this page to kind of help you. So for length, 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, okay? So that would be 100. You don't have this page. You know what? Maybe I'll put this page on there. I'll put this page on there as practice. That way you can print this one as well, okay? So 1 meter, think about like a yardstick or a meter stick. We've used those a lot in class, okay? So that is a meter, and there are 100 centimeters, okay? Think about the centimeters, like this, 100 of those in 1 meter, okay? All right, now let's think. A liter. Think about a liter. So a liter is what I just showed you that was like a Gatorade bottle, okay? How many milliliters? A milliliter is like a drop of water. How many milliliters are in that 1 liter, that 1 Gatorade bottle? All right, if you don't know, look back here. Let's see. 1 liter has 1,000 milliliters, 1,000 little drops. Okay, so think of it this, a Gatorade bottle that is about a liter has 1,000 drops of Gatorade to get to be what that Gatorade is. All right, and think about the grams and kilograms, okay? So a gram was something that was super, super light, about a paper clip, or maybe even lighter than that. What was it, a $5 bill, okay? Think about it. 1,000 $5 bills make up how many kilograms? If you're not sure, we can look back right here, okay? So 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram, okay? 1,000 grams is 1 kilogram. So this is just kind of a practice to start wrapping your mind around what those conversions look like when you're first learning them, okay? All right, let's look at milligrams and grams. 1,000 milligrams and 1 gram, okay? If you're not sure, you can look back here. 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. And then kilometers and meters. Kilometers and meters. If you're not sure, you can look back. 1 kilometer or kilometer equals 1,000 meters. All right, so 1,000, think of 1,000 yardsticks before you can get to 1 kilometer. 1 kilometer. All right, so something else you can kind of practice as well is, what if you have more than one? Okay, so what if I've got 3 liters? If I've got 3 liters. Well, the way that I kind of am going to think about that is, remember the tables that we were doing before we left? Let me go grab my notebook. I left it in here. Sorry, I also grabbed my sweet tea. All right, so when we were doing in our notebook, we were doing tables. I probably should have, oh, it was after that. Fractions, it was recent, wasn't it? Right before, there. Oh, come on, Valerie. I thought it was recent. There's our parts of the circle. Man, we've done a lot of stuff. We've done so much stuff. This is why it is so, there it is, there are those tables. Okay, this is why it's so important that you guys are doing your DMP, because think about all of this stuff that we are not doing on a daily basis, and all of this stuff that is just exiting your brain the longer that you don't use it. Okay, so when we started doing tables and patterns and things like that, we were always looking for the rule, okay? We were always looking for the rule. How do we get from the top number to the bottom number? Well, to get from 1 to 3, we multiplied times 3. So if all the top numbers were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to get to the bottom, you just multiply them by 3, and that was our table. So we did a lot of these tables, and we always looked at the rule. Was the rule to add 1? Was it to subtract 1? Was it to divide by 2? Here was another one. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It gave us the number 4. How did we get each time from the top to the bottom? We multiplied, okay? So we were doing a lot of tables before we left, input-output tables, okay? Here was a couple more that we did with the tables. This one right here, the input, 1, 2, 3, 4. This was the output, and we figured out you had to add 23 each time. So remember these tables? That is how I kind of help myself when we're doing a problem like this right here, because I think to myself, okay, how many liters does it take, or how many milliliters does it take to make a liter? So I think to myself, as far as liters and milliliters go, right here, 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters, okay? So 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. So then think of this kind of as one of your input-output tables, okay, that we were doing before we left, okay? So if you go from here to here, what was the rule, okay? What rule did you follow to get from 1 liter to 1,000 milliliters? Well, the rule is times 1,000. Whatever number is here, you multiply times 1,000 to get it over here. So if we're looking for an answer like this, 3 liters equals 3,000 milliliters, what did we do right here? What was the rule, okay? Well, the rule was to multiply it times 1,000, and that's how we figured out the milliliters. All right, so here's another one with centimeters, 700 centimeters. How do we go from 700 centimeters down to 7 meters? Well, we would divide by 100. The rule would be dividing by 100. All right, and the same thing over here. How would we get from 6,000 milliliters to 6 liters? To go from 6,000 to 6 would be dividing by 1,000. Here, how would you get from 4 milliliters to 4 liters? Okay, from 4 milliliters to 4 liters. You would have to multiply it times 1,000, 4 milliliters. Okay? All right, so let's look at our actual assignment for today, which is this one right here. Okay? Actual assignment for today. So this is Thinking Up, page 330, which is what we'll be working on, and it starts off by giving you that same chart, okay? So I have also given you this chart right here as one of the slides so that you can reference this chart throughout the week as much as you want to, and just go back to this slide and take a look at it, okay? So it's showing you here that same chart that I showed you, okay? The base units in the metric system are the meter, the gram, and the liter. The metric system is based off multiples of 10. All right, kilo means 1,000, hecto means 100, deca means 10. The unit is just the 1. Deci is a tenth, centi is a hundredth, and milli is 1,000th. Okay, so think about a kilometer is 1,000 meters. And a meter is 1/1,000th of a kilometer. So you're going to be going back and using this right here. I have referred to this quite often as I was doing the math and working out the assignments for this week. And then it's showing you how to convert from a larger to a smaller unit. You always multiply. So when you go for something larger, so meters is larger than centimeters. Kilograms is larger than grams. Liters is larger than milliliters. And if you are not sure, see, kilo, hecta, deca, these are larger. Deci, centi, milli, these are smaller, okay? So when you're going from something larger to something smaller, okay, you multiply by the conversion factor. If you're going from something smaller, centimeters to meters, then you divide by the conversion factor, okay? And I'm going to show you how to kind of create tables to help yourself. All right, it says use the table to complete the equation. So we're going to start with this one right here, number 1. All right, so we're looking at kilograms, and we're wondering if I've got 3 kilograms, how many grams does that give me, okay? Well, what I gotta know first is if I had just 1 kilogram, how many grams would that give me, okay? And up here, if I look, I'm like, okay, 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. So if I think of that kind of like a table, okay, because I'm going from kilograms to grams, okay? So it said, when I looked at that, it said that 1 kilogram was 1,000 grams. That's like my key, okay, right here. 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. If I'm looking here, gram is the unit, kilo is way up here. It's 1,000, okay? So what was my rule for getting from there to there, okay? How did I go from 1 kilogram to 1,000 grams? The rule was to multiply by 1,000. So if I'm trying to figure out, if I keep filling in my chart or my table, okay, think of it this way. 2 kilograms would be 2,000 grams. 3 kilograms would be 3,000 grams. So 3,000 grams is 3,000 kilograms. Bleh. 3 kilograms is how many grams? Okay, that would be 1,000. 3,000. Here we go. All right. Let's look at the next one. Number 2. I'm looking at meters and centimeters. I'm going from larger down to smaller. Okay? From larger down to smaller. 9 meters and then centimeters. So if I'm looking up here, here's my meters right here. And I have 9 of these, 9 meters, and I'm going down to centimeters. Okay? There's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Okay? I can find that right here as well. 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So if I were going to make myself a table, now you won't always need to make yourself tables. This is one of those things where you can kind of do it at first, then after you learn it, you don't have to do it as much. Okay? So if I'm doing meters down to centimeters, when I looked at my chart, I can see here, right there, 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. Okay? 1 meter, 100 centimeters. So I'm noticing that to go from here to here, I'm multiplying times 100. To get from 1 to 100, my rule is to multiply times 100. So in my table, I'm trying to get from 9 and figure out what that is. Basically, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Well, if 1 meter is 100 centimeters, then 2 meters is 200 centimeters, and 3 meters is 300 centimeters, and so on, until I get that 9 meters is 900 centimeters. Okay? All right, why don't you see if you can pause for just a second and see if you can figure out right here. If I have 500 milliliters, how many liters do I have? 500 milliliters, how many liters do I have? All right, go ahead and pause it. Looking up here, see if you can figure that out. All right, we're back. So that one was a little bit of a tricky one, okay? Because if you look here, you can see that a liter is 1,000 milliliters, okay? So 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. And it told us that we had 500 milliliters. Well, 500 milliliters is not quite a liter. So if 1,000 makes 1 liter, then 500 would have to make half of a liter, okay? And you could write it like that, or you could write it like that, okay? I think I'm gonna write mine like that, half a liter. Did it trick you? Okay, so let's do 4 together, and then maybe I'll have you try 5 and 6 on your own. All right, number 4, 200 centimeters equals how many meters? 200 centimeters equals how many meters? Okay, well, how many centimeters equals 1 meter? Okay, how many centimeters equals 1 meter? So 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. But it's asking me about 200 centimeters. Okay, how did I get from 100 down to 1? What was my rule? Okay, if I'm at 100 and I go down to 1, the rule there is that I divided by 100, because 100 divided by 100 is 1. So what is 200 divided by 100? Answer is 2 meters. All right, see if you can do number 5 and number 6 on your own. Okay, number 5 and number 6, doing it on your own. Number 5, 8,000 milliliters is how many liters? Number 6, 75 meters is how many centimeters? Go ahead and pause and give it a shot on your own. All right, welcome back. Here we go. Let's see. 8,000 milliliters, okay? 8,000 milliliters is how many liters? Well, right up here, I can see that 1 liter is 1,000. So if 1 liter is 1,000, it must be 8 liters to make 8,000. And then number 6, 75 meters. 75 meters is how many centimeters? Well, up here it tells me that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So what did I do? I had to multiply. 1 times 100 is 100. So if I take 75 times 100, that gives me 7,500 centimeters. All right, looks like you're doing great. Go ahead and pause the video. Try number 7, number 8, and number 9 on your own. Welcome back. I wonder how many of you actually stopped and did that. All right, guys, I know that this is kind of like an honor system of doing this on your own, but I want you to think about it this way. If all you're doing is watching my video from beginning to end, or even fast forwarding through my video just to get to the very end where I give you the answer so that you know what to put on the slides. Yeah, that's fast, but guess what? You are not learning anything. All you're doing is just walking around. It would be like walking around and copying someone's answers at the very end of class and not actually being there for the lesson. You're not learning anything. And I know that we're not coming back to school this year, but next year when you get into 5th grade is what is called an SSI year, okay? Which means that you have to pass the STAR in order to move on to 6th grade. And we're already going to be starting the year a little behind from where we should be, because you're going to have to go back and relearn a lot of things that we missed in 4th grade. So if you are not stopping this video, if you are not pausing this video and working these things out on your own like I'm asking you to, you are not learning anything. Because if you stop the video and you pause it and you do it, and you get 1 right and you get 2 wrong, then when I go back and show you the answers, that is your way of figuring out what it is that you did wrong, okay? If you wait until Friday to actually do problems on your own, then you are more likely to get them wrong than you are to get them right if you haven't actually worked anything out at this point, okay? If all you're doing is watching the videos and putting down the answers, and then first time you ever work something out on your own, this is me preaching. I'm preaching to you. This is me. I'm preaching to you, okay? You've got to work these out with me. You've got to pause the videos. You've got to work them out. You've got to make your mistakes, and then let me show you how to do it correctly so that you're learning and fixing your mistakes now Otherwise, when you get to the assignment on Friday, you are going to make those mistakes and you're going to get the grade that's not what you desire, and it's going to be because you haven't been working them out. So let me tell you right now, if you did not pause the video and you did not work out number 7, 8, and 9 on your own, pause it now and work it out on your own. Pretty, please. Okay. Hopefully you did that. Here we go. Looking at number 7. All right, on number 7, I have 5 liters, and it wants to know how many milliliters that makes. Okay, well, I know that 1 milliliter, okay, 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. So 5 liters would have to be 5,000. Okay, all right, grams to milligrams. Grams to milligrams. How many grams in a milligram? There's 1 grams and milligrams. Here I am. All right. 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. Okay? So if I had 60 grams, I have to take 60 times 1,000. And 60 times 1,000 is 60,000. Okay? All right, and then number 9, 85 grams. How many kilograms makes a gram? Well, 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. So I would have to take 85 times 1,000, which would give me 85,000. All right, hopefully you did well on that. Right now, at this point, I don't expect you to have all these conversions memorized, okay? Which is why I've got this page right here as one of your slides so that you can specifically go back and look at these when you need to, okay? You can specifically go back and look at that when you need to. All right, so the only thing you need to do on your own today is answer this question right here. I have been noticing that there's a lot of students who are not answering this bottom question, okay? How is converting metric measurements like using place value to determine the value of a digit? So think about place value and how we move from place value, we move from one to the other. How is multiplying, how is converting metric measurements like using that, okay? I did want to show you on your slide right here. So you should now go and put your answers here on this page right here, okay? So one of the things that hopefully you did was, I reminded you of this last week, but when you were doing this paper with me, I think one of the easiest things to do is to write down the answers on the paper as you're doing them, and then go back to this page after we're completely done with 330, then go back to this page and type them in. I wouldn't type it in as I'm going, like watch the video and get an answer and pause it and then go to this page and type it in, and then watch the video and get the answer to number 2 and pause it and then go and type it in. I think that's just a lot of back and forth, okay? But one of the things you need to do is I need to make sure that you are answering this question right here, okay? This question right here, you're going to insert a text box and put the answer right there, okay? All right, I know the video was kind of a long video, but considering that measurement, this is the first time we've been doing measurement in 4th grade. Now, I know you did measurement in 3rd grade, but this is the first time we did it in 4th grade. I just had kind of a lot to go over and explain. Looking forward to seeing you guys the rest of this week. Bye.